Hi, guys.
Hey, hello, Philip, and hello, Višnja. Soon we'll be introducing our guest today, but no, it's great to be here, Philip. I'm excited to talk about marketing today, and now even more excited because we have a special guest today that's going to be helping us and adding some interesting and valuable points to the conversation. So go ahead, Philip. You could go ahead and introduce our guest, and we'll get started.
Yeah, thank you, Gio. I'm very glad to have here today Višnja Železniak. She's my dear friend and business partner. She is 20 years in a business entrepreneur. I can also say a serial entrepreneur and the founder of B2B educational platform Eduza. So for today, we'll be speaking more about how to start with your startup, the process, the marketing, the efforts, and everything. So I will be switching the scepter of power to Višnja.
Thank you, Gio. Thank you, Filip, for this lovely introduction. Yeah, we're going to talk about marketing for bootstrapped startup founders, which I am one. I have been, like you said, Filip, I have been an entrepreneur for 20 years. We started as a small company that developed websites. We switched to B2B marketing consulting. And of course, this wasn't enough. So 2 years ago, we created our own startup. This is an educational platform. This is like a marketplace for business training courses. At least this is how it started in our heads when the idea was born at the start of the pandemic. And I want to bring some of the lessons I have learned on my path. Maybe it's best that I share where we are now, so that people who are listening and watching know how to put it in context. So our startup Eduza has started commercial activities in August this year. So this is like 3 months ago. And we have 11 paying customers, which is yay. We're so happy. We're so happy that we have like less than €400 monthly recurring revenue. It's only a start, but the feedback of the market has been phenomenal so far, and there has been certain steps that I have could have avoided. That of course I could have done better. And I see so many startups that are especially IT startups, solo founders, developers who start their journey, but they can avoid so many mistakes that I have learned on my own skin. And I want to share like 4 lessons today, what I've learned, hopefully that somebody who is who's beginning their journey will learn from that. And
awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it.
Start with the points, and we'll jump in with our comments and our experience, because one thing is for sure. We have it.
Definitely. So let me jump straight into the point. So we have started our idea, like I said, in April 2020, the height of the pandemic. The customers weren't paying, new customers were not coming. And we had a crazy idea to start an educational platform where I myself could offer my training courses to other people. Because, we were unable to sell in-house training workshops. We were in lockdown. So this was my idea. There's probably people like me who want to, earn more living, and they just can't. So Eduza was founded with that idea in mind. And what we did was started marketing immediately. So this is probably my lesson number 1. Idea is born. We started developing in the background, but we were not quiet. We let the idea become live, and I started speaking about it. My main platform was LinkedIn. This is where all my customers are coming from. And we started podcasting. I created a simple website, and it was very, very quick and dirty website, because we didn't have time, to build lots of new features. We were focused on speaking about the idea. And I can tell you that of course, we could have launched sooner. We launched 2 years later, because in the meantime, we almost kind of quit. Mm-hmm. Yes, but fortunately, there were certain events that gave us hope that we can, continue our journey. So we just started marketing, started publishing blogs, started podcasting. To this day, I have recorded more than 50 live video podcast episodes. So this was my main show, and this has kept Eduza alive enough to start it, to offer commercial products, commercial plans, and to attract the first customers. So what startup founders do is that they have an idea and they talk to nobody. They don't want to tell anybody about what they're building, who they are building it for. They are afraid that people will, I don't know, maybe want to
hijack the idea.
People do hijack ideas, but only when you're so crazy successful. And when you start talking about it on Twitter, you can have so many copycats. But this doesn't happen when you don't have your idea validated. So when I built the website, so this was one pager, but it was ugly without a logo. We probably did our logo ourselves. This is what we did. We went to some logo making website and created, in great frustration, we created a simple logo, put it on the website, and started marketing. And people started noticing. People started saying, hey, I wanted to build this myself, but couldn't find the time. Or I wish this was, this was available the first time I started teaching and providing my business courses. So what I did is I captured that interest in a form, started collecting feedback from educators. I created YouTube channel, Facebook page, LinkedIn page. Now we have an Instagram 2 years in. So we kept the idea alive to the point when we launched it commercially. So my main message is, people, don't be alone with your message. Don't be alone with your product. Go out there and talk to people who are interested in what you're building. This is how you validate that there's at least enough interest to keep marketing.
Yeah.
Now you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just one thing to add. I'll never forget the time when you started. You were so vocal and out loud, and that is important. You need to communicate the values, the intention, the plan, and people who are like-minded, they will jump into the wagon, be with you, support you, help you, vice versa. That's it. And that is what Gio and I, we are constantly talking about. It's about building a community, solid rock foundation, and being very loud and vocal about what you're actually doing. And then people who are on the same pages, they'll be there. And awesome. That is definitely a good point. Gio, what is it?
I love it. I want to give 2 quick points that really captured me while you were speaking. The first one I want to mention is the fact of building in the open. And I've seen this with the communities that I'm involved with in the crypto world and NFT space. This is the ethos. This is what is the main goal. You build openly. You build not just for your community. You build with your community. And I think that is important, what you guys determined there. And this is something that's been happening in the NFT space, crypto space. This is the most successful projects. That's how they do it. They basically are creating, but as they're building it up, everybody gives their input. It's sort of like open source code, right? Where it could be improved because everybody gets their chance to see it. It's transparent, and then you could build. Everybody builds upon the previous iteration. So I think that's great advice that you said. They're building the open. Don't be scared to build in the open. You're going to make mistakes either way, but at least if you build in the open, that transparency will bring in certain people, and you may even be surprised who comes in and wants to participate with you and can elevate what you're trying to do. So I think that was a good point. And the second one, determination, which is something that's sort of undervalued in business, but it's one of the essentials. It's sort of like I haven't yet seen like a person who I look up to in business that has not had that determination to succeed and push through obstacles. I think it's just a part of the journey. And you mentioned it there, like you almost gave up. And I think there's so many times that people have that same feeling, but unfortunately, a lot of people give into it and they do give up. and they don't keep pushing forward, and they're not as determined, and then what could have been never becomes. So I think that that's important. You have to have the determination to push through the obstacles, and even if you feel like giving up, you have to believe in your vision, try to figure things out the best of your ability, and push through. And you guys did, and then now you're starting to see some results, and I'm happy about that. And I think it's a great lesson for those listening.
Thank you, Gio. That's an amazing thing you just said. On Twitter, it's called #open build in public. This is the hashtag that at least the development community has gathered around. I don't follow as much crypto and NFT as I would like to, because I would love to. I just don't have the time, so I outsource it to my boyfriend. He's in the NFT space, starting in the beginning, and I see exactly this space is going to get a lot of benefits because they have embraced building in public, building in the open. Because even if you have a bad idea, the public's going to tell you. They're going to
You will be judged. Yes. In any case scenario, it is better sooner than later, and that is the problem.
Exactly.
We see very often. Something needs to be ideal. What the ideal truly is, every idea has its lifespan, and it's a living tissue. So it's built upon some foundation and constantly being expanded. And that is very important, to have and receive a proper feedback from the audience, from the people who help you, who support you, with whom you are working with. That's it. That is the right way.
Exactly. It has to be built into the entire marketing and business process itself. For example, the point number 2 I wanted to talk about is something that, Paul Graham has said so beautifully: do things that don't scale. Don't automate prematurely, because this is what we did. We talked to people. We did, for example, software is always automated emails, transactional emails. We had nothing because we didn't have time to build it. There's so little development resources that we had to cut everything and focus on only the essential features. So when you don't have automation, you are basically forced to talk to people and to find out what they need. They gave us feedback about, for example, what didn't work with our platform. We started thinking, okay, we're going to make a software as a service. It's going to be a platform. Everything's going to be automated. People are going to love it. And the first customers that we attracted were business trainers and educators who still didn't have their personal brand built. They were experts of 10 or 20 years of experience, but still no personal brand because they were new entrepreneurs without the personal brand. And what we did, we talked to them. We saw that they are struggling with selling their education programs. And then we transformed Eduza to become a sort of a brand building platform. And this is how we would never do that if we didn't talk to customers. And we would not talk to customers if we wanted to automate everything prematurely. So this is how we did a little shift before we announced our commercial plans. We completely redid what we offered and included brand building, promotion, more support, personal support. So we're not a platform. We're a platform with a service. we gave so much of our time to our first customers, we call them founding members. And their feedback has been that actually without their feedback, we couldn't be going further. So let's not automate stuff prematurely. I would rather, if there will be developers listening to this podcast, don't build as many features. Try to spend more time talking to people, because you're going to build the wrong thing. I guarantee you're going to build the wrong thing. You better conserve your resources. So this is the lesson number 2, do things that don't scale.
Absolutely, definitely a good point. Because, as you said, people have the tendency to go stronger in terms of automation and everything, but it doesn't mean the process is right. You learn as you go with the proper feedback. It is better to do it on basic force and strength, and later automate than doing something what will be seen as wrong or won't be optimal for the case and scenario. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Gio,
No,
do you
yeah.
want to? Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. A quick point of mine was I think automation, what you're saying is try to avoid, the way I would see it is we avoid software, and if we are automating, we're not using the software, we're using processes. So you create the right processes with the right people, which then creates what you then said was a feedback loop, which I think is important. That feedback loop, which is you're continuously gathering data and information so you can make better decisions as the business continues to scale, because you're getting real-time feedback from the actual people that are consuming your service or product. So that's important. And then but that comes from a specific type of processes in your business. So I think what you said of not prematurely depending on software, why don't we focus more on the human resources, our team? How can we better the processes with them? Are they asking the right questions? How are those conversations going on different calls, etc.? And create that feedback loop, but using the right processes instead of always counting on the software automation. Let's count on automation, but using processes with people. And I think that's the key to some of the things you said that I got from it, from my experience. Yeah, but that was a great point.
Very good, very good. I love this because this is what we did in our processes. Were a checklist in a Notion document. We were, of course, first they were on a piece of paper, and then I transferred that to Notion to automate a little bit. And this is how we created a feedback loop. And the stuff that we were hearing from our customers also gave me ideas for my own workshops, new services, new content. It happens all the time that people tell me, look, I have a problem with this. I struggle with this. And I turned this into the next podcast episode. So there's always something to talk about. There's always marketing content to engage with. And this is something that we did. And for example, the third point. So this is a segue to the third point. I focused on the signal. In this feedback loop, we figured out what works and what we should do to give the most value to our customers. For example, in our country, in Croatia, there's a lot of free business training programs, free courses, and educators, they hold these free courses and they attract actual future customers. It really does work. You show up in front of people, you hold a free webinar, and a month later, a couple of them become your customers. That's amazing. This is actually what my clients want. So when I listened to what people were saying, I figured out, look, we should have more free courses on our platform. So we followed the signal. This is what I call it. Follow the signal. When you see something working, follow it, double down on it, spend more time there, and keep feeding that loop. Just keep feeding more stuff that works. I can tell you that this has been a lesson that I have to learn all over again. I love new things. I'm that person that always is running after shiny things. When I see something new, I want to do it. And I forget about the stuff that works. So I have to keep learning and keep repeating my mantra. Please do more of what works. And this is something I have to say out loud so that I can remember it.
Yeah, that's an awesome point, because as you mentioned, that's a signal. You always receive some kind of, as you said, the signal, the label, the moment, and a clarification of the specific situation, and you need to follow it, because in business there are numerous parameters important and integral part of the success. But following the signal, the right moment, the right actions, and following your feeling, it is very, very important to do so. And that is an awesome point, very important to the audience to be spoken aloud. And yeah, absolutely agree with you. Gio, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, a great point. I love it. Like, follow the signal, right? Follow look for the lighthouse and follow the light, right? Exactly. Yeah, so I think it's great. You got to double down on what works. And I think sometimes it comes to really understanding, okay, this is working. Let me focus, right, on this. Let me not get right. And I understand you totally, because I've had that same feeling as well, where I get sort of, distracted, right, by different things that come along. But I think what you said about just making sure you identify what works, and then once you identify what works, you have to now learn how to maintain that focus, right? That's the other factor of it, is once you've identified it, now I have to maintain the focus, understand that it works, and now, right, maintain that consistency. So perfect. I like it.
Yeah.
And I believe I have to take a lesson that you said, Gio. Follow the process, trust the process, and make it so that you can become consistent. This is something that I'm trying to do now. So I know what has to be done. Now I have to clear my schedule so that these important things can be created, can be worked on. Yeah. So
it's also the narrowing the focus on important things, important dots, which will be helping you scale, expand, and everything else. That's it. Yeah. Guys, we have 2 more minutes just for the info. We have a fourth
final point. Final point. Yeah, great. We're right at the end.
Okay, so to wrap things up, I believe my main lesson would be to be visible, to get out there and talk to people. Amazing resources that help me. Is it okay that I mentioned 2 books? Okay,
absolutely.
So the Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick is an amazing resource that teaches you how to talk to people and not get distracted. And the other is the Embedded Entrepreneur that from Arvid Kahl, that teaches you to embed yourself in the community of your future customers, and just to listen, to give yourself time, and to start extracting insights into what your future product should be, without marrying yourself to the idea that may never actually become profitable. So this is a wrap up for me, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about my little startup and my journey so far.
This was an awesome one. I like it, and Višnja, thank you for a very extremely valuable insights, information, and suggestions. Very helpful to the audience. Gio.
No, yeah, thank you, Višnja. I think that it was an excellent meeting. I appreciate you jumping on with us here on our video podcast. It was a pleasure to have you. You brought up some great points based on your experiences so far, which I think is excellent. So and that last point was very good, especially on understanding and analyzing consumer behaviors, right, in the trenches. And not just from the exterior, but actually being there, understanding what are they commenting, what are their social dynamics of what they're doing, and why are they doing it. I think that really does help. And so I love that last point as well. And those books, I'm definitely going to be checking them out. I appreciate you jumping on with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
It was a true pleasure. And I already have the ideas for volume 2. Awesome. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.